let's talk about Napier first and coming back. And I guess, you can make an argument. I understand, but I also understand Gator fans who are just like, are you kidding me? Because, in some ways we're accepting what we've become, which we shouldn't ever do, I guess.
Yeah, it's interesting, though. I would argue, elaborate on what you said, coming back. What do you mean by coming back?
Well, he'll be here next year. He's not getting.
Did you see that in the statement? Did you see anything about next year in the statement? I thought it was a very vague statement that didn't necessarily define the period of time that the commitment was being taltalked about.
Okay, well, let me say this.
Are you saying we could get the old switcheroo? Are you telling me in mid-December we can have Lane Kiffin?
I mean, there's a lot of mess going on, obviously, currently,
and they're not allowed to put through December 8th signing date.
I don't know what'll happen, but let's say it is the commitment going forward for next year. And I can understand, man. I mean, you look at the production on this team; it's largely been from freshmen and sophomores, and the commitment level. Every time we talk to a Florida player, it's how much they love Coach Napier, how much they enjoy being in these systems. Honestly, I thought they were figuring things out. I don't really know what Gator fans expected going into that game in Austin.
I don't think they expected much. It was. I don't think they understood, but it's still painful to see.
Let me ask both of you guys a question, and I don't mean it as an argument because I don't want to have a debate. For the most part, I'm 80-90% agreement with both of y'all. But let me ask you this, Chris, to your point, and Dan, you also. If you knew that this young nucleus that y'all are excited about, to a man, would be back, you still wouldn't want a different head coach? I guess my point is, I agree that nucleus is performing better, and it looks better, and it looks brighter. But I also still agree that it ain't going to be that the leadership to get these guys anywhere that Gator fans can accept will not, and is not going to be enough.
I'll tell you this. I guarantee you if in fact it is a commitment through next year, there will be a massive shakeup on the coaching staff.
Yeah.
I thought particularly on the defensive side, it was mishandled as it related to bringing Ron Robertson and how the hierarchy with he and Austin Armstrong would work and making sure you have a cohesive staff. Like just because you have an accumulation of dudes doesn't mean that the whole staff is good. Like just because you hire a bunch of analysts and try to mimic what Alabama's done doesn't mean that it's good. Alabama's done it with accomplished former head coaches that have come in and brought value in terms of not only advanced scouting but helping to the coach and manage some of the CEO responsibilities. I mean, there's I thought that the analyst thing has always kind of been a head scratcher here with who we have around the staff and all. But the what I've heard in terms of the lack of cohesiveness on the defensive staff and the coaches not communicating with one another. I mean, we saw that early in the season with all of the lack of communication out there on the field and not being on the same page in adjustments and all. I do think it seems to me like they've kind of cleared some of that up with the way the defense played prior to the game in Austin, but there will be some changes on that staff one way or another, whether it's the head coach or whether it's a lot of the assistants and maybe even a formal offensive coordinator. I mean, something's got to change from what you're doing right now.
All right, we've been taught through the years, and maybe this has changed, and I'll ask you this, Chris Doering, who joins us now of the SEC Network. You never ever keep a coach because of a player, right? I get that. But I will suggest to you, because I've asked this to many of.
Hold on, do you not do that? Maybe in the old days.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm wondering if this has changed. This is what I'm asking because I will suggest to you that, like, for example, FSU's had a terrible year. They're 1-9, and I think if they had gotten Cam Ward, I'm not saying they would be 9-1, but I bet they'd be 8-2, 7-3 at worst. I bet you bottom dollar that's how much a good quarterback makes a difference. You can build this team around DJ Lagway for the next 2 seasons. I would. He has all the makings of being special. I can't wait to see that part of it go forward. He's tied to Napier, obviously. You might be able. I think you'll be able to attract people, and I think what Florida's doing is taking their, $15-20 million that they had, where they can either pay off Napier or they can buy players.
Just because because you have either or, hey, you're either going to allocate this to a buyout or you're going to pay players, doesn't mean that in a year or 2 years you're going to have to come up with another that buyout amount is.
That's
so
right.
It's like, I agree with you putting it into the – and then the crazy, we're talking about, hey, we need to allocate to 5 players. Like, Dylan Stewart, the announcement out of South Carolina was that they locked him up for another year like he was some NFL player.
It's true.
It's crazy. Like, accept this fraudulent name, image, and likeness title that we're dealing with, but that's another story.
Right.
I'm with you. I mean, look at the NFL. Look what happened with the New York Jets and how beholden that entire organization became to Aaron Rodgers and everything that he wanted to do. They made moves, which include, I still don't believe that he didn't want a coaching change made.
Sure.
But I do think that you look at the way that DJ Lagway was operating in this offense prior to getting hurt, man, it made you feel kind of optimistic for the first time. And so, I am interested in seeing what happens with him coming back another year and having the core of this group of young players coming back and seeing how it actually operates in this offense. Like Graham Mertz has done a great job, and I've come on your show for 2 years talking about how well he's run this offense. But I do believe that the offense needs some aspect of mobility from the quarterback. And watching DJ Lagway run some of the read option stuff before he got hurt, and maybe it's just the accumulation of the right pieces that needs to be put into this offense as well. So I mean, what's the option? You're going to go get another coach? Who knows if we can get the one that everybody else wants, and who knows if he'd be a great fit here or not? There's no guarantee for any of that. So, I'm making a lot of excuses. I think I sound a little bit like a battered spouse or something here, but it's almost where we are. I mean, the celebration that went on my phone with all the text after we got a meaningless field goal to keep the shutout streak away was almost a sign of just the capitulation that Florida fans have accepted.
Yeah, we've waved the white flag. We really have. And by the way, you should put an addendum into your bet that if Lagway doesn't play, there's no bet. I mean, it's just.
But here's the deal, though. Did you see the point spread? I was shocked at how low the point spread was. And speaking of capitulation, I'm not sure that LSU hasn't completely quit at this point.
Well, let's hope so, because we could. By the way, I was thinking of this. If you redshirted a year, right?
I did.
Okay, so you would not have in 1995 coming off your final season. Chris Doering had 70 catches for over 1,000 yards and 17 touchdowns. You could have made some serious bank back then.
No question.
You could have had a nice little contract.
That's part of what it is, isn't it? Like old guys and their anger, it's not necessarily being really upset about it. It's the hating of what could have been and the loss of youth. I would have killed it, right?
Yeah.
I think my biggest, it's not even anger. The thing that has got to be fixed, and paying kids, whatever, we've already decided to do that, do it. We got to get some sort of system in place when it comes to either salary cap or you're contracted to play for where you go. What I don't like is players on your own throwing competition and competitiveness and the dog in you out the door to the point that you'll leave and go to your arch rival because they give you $500,000 more.
Oh, that hurts. I don't like that.
There's way too much of that stuff going on. So we need a salary cap. You can't or limit the movement. If you're going to get paid, sorry, buddy, you're going to sit here for 4 years.
I still worry about all right, we're going to have a salary cap, and we're going to have this structured, money that people will get for playing. But how do you still regulate the ability to do advertisements outside of, what you're doing on the field? I mean, there still will be an aspect of name, image, and likeness, and I don't even know how you regulate somebody's ability to earn. Like in the NFL, you can go do all of the different advertisements you want, and so it's a different dynamic in college than it is in the NFL because of the booster ties and what people want to do to win. It's just I don't know how you completely level the playing field ever.
Can Florida beat LSU if they don't have Lagway?
I don't know that they can beat them without Lagway.
Yeah, is it even possible?
Hold on now. That run defense, that might be the worst run defense that I've seen in a long, long time. And I know some of it has to do with the mobility of the quarterbacks they faced. They were terrible against Milroe on Saturday. Marcel Reed a couple weeks ago eat him up. Lenora Sellers back early in the season for South Carolina had a big day on the ground. So I think you have to have that aspect of it. But, I do think you can line up and run the football against them too. And Florida's group of young running backs have been really successful this season. So I'm not sure that you can't beat them. I don't think that the Warner thing, asking him to just drop back and throw, I was shocked that there wasn't some sort of wrinkle with some other quarterback or some ball carrier that could have, run some wildcat stuff. It didn't seem like hoping against hope. Early in the game, we had a couple opportunities, and I do agree with Coach Napier. You get some points there, maybe it's a little different, but our tackling on defense was ridiculously bad.
Hey guys, Taylor Dahl here. Thanks so much for checking out our 1010XL Florida Gators page. If you're looking for more Florida content, subscribe now. But if you're looking for some professional football, NFL content, head over to our 1010XL Jaguars page.